Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the story time. Today we are going to read Bismillah Soup by Asma Hussain, illustrated by Amina Khan. Hasan woke up on a hot summer morning to the loud chirping of birds outside his bedroom window. But the grumbling of his stomach was even louder. He was hungry. "Come have some eggs, Hasan," called his mom from the kitchen. "And fill up, because there won't be much food for dinner. Abu hasn't been home in a while, and the electricity just came back this morning." Hasan's father worked in a faraway city. When he came back for a visit every few weeks, he would bring money and special treats. Since the electricity on their whole street had been out for a few days, a lot of their food became spoiled and had to be thrown away. Hasan looked at his worried mother and wondered how he could help. "Hasan, when you're done with breakfast, please go ask Sheikh Omar if he can spare some rice for dinner," said his mom. "I will, Huyu, and you know what else?" Hasan boasted. "We're going to have a huge feast tonight, insha'Allah." "How?" asked his mom. "You'll see," said Hasan. He crammed the eggs into his mouth and bolted out the door, running straight to the masjid to talk to the imam. Sheikh Omar was reading quietly on the striped green carpet when Hasan suddenly burst into the masjid saying, "Sheikh Omar, I have a problem. I promised Huyu she would have a huge feast tonight, but there isn't enough food in our house." "Well, I do have a sack of rice that I've been saving," said Sheikh Omar, "and we have some big cooking pots in the basement." "But that's not enough," complained Hasan. "I promised her a feast. Plain rice isn't a feast." "Don't worry, Hasan," said Sheikh Omar. "Say Bismillah, and I'm sure you'll think of something." Hasan sat down in a huff and thought, "How will I make a feast without any food? Bismillah." Suddenly a big, clever smile spread across his face. Hasan ran to the imam and said, "Sheikh Omar, start boiling a huge pot of water in the masjid kitchen. We are going to make Bismillah Soup." "What's Bismillah Soup?" said Sheikh Omar. "No time to explain, just trust me," Hasan shouted as he ran out the masjid door. Hasan hurried along towards the market and found the vendors setting up their fruits and vegetables. He greeted the first vendor and said, "I'm here to invite you to a huge feast that we are having tonight at the masjid. We're making something special that no one has tasted before. Bismillah Soup." "I've never heard of Bismillah Soup," said the vendor. "It's a special soup that is the tastiest soup in the entire world," Hasan explained. "Oh, in that case I would love to come to the feast and try the tastiest soup in the world. Take these onions and potatoes. You simply can't make soup without lots of these," she said. Hasan carried the heavy basket back to Sheikh Omar just in time to see the water start boiling. Together they peeled and chopped the vegetables and threw them into the pot. Then Hasan flew out the door again, heading back to the market. He knew exactly where he needed to go next. Hasan arrived at his favorite spice shop and pushed the door open. "I've come to invite you to a huge feast at the masjid tonight," explained Hasan to the store owner. "Sheikh Omar and I are making Bismillah Soup." "I've heard of all the soups in the world," the man said proudly, "but I've never heard of Bismillah Soup." "It's the tastiest soup in the entire world," said Hasan. Snorted the man. "I'll have to taste it myself to believe it. Take my special spice mix and pour it into the soup. No soup is complete without it." Hasan thanked him, took the bag of spices, and ran back to the masjid, grinning the entire way. Sheikh Omar, pour this into the soup, shouted Hasan excitedly. As soon as Sheikh Omar poured the spice mixture into the soup, a wonderful smell began to fill the air. We need to take a break to pray now, Hasan. Leave the soup to boil here, and we will come back to it soon, said Sheikh Omar. When they had finished praying, Sheikh Omar stood up and made an announcement. Brothers and sisters, we will be having a community feast tonight. As a special dish, Hasan and I are making Bismillah Soup. What's Bismillah Soup? They all asked. Is the tastiest soup in the entire world, said Hasan, smiling nervously. But Sheikh Omar, whispered Hasan, how will there be enough food for all of them and their families? Didn't we say Bismillah, Hasan? Sheikh Omar explained confidently, don't worry. There will be blessings in the food and it will be more than enough, insha'Allah. Hasan quickly headed out of the masjid again to visit the local farmer. After a long walk, he stood in front of the faded brick house and knocked 3 times. The old farmer opened the creaky door with a friendly smile. I've come to invite you to a special feast tonight at the masjid, said Hasan. We're making Bismillah Soup. What's Bismillah Soup? asked the farmer. It's the tastiest soup in the entire world, replied Hasan. A steaming bowl of soup is my favorite meal, especially since I don't have many teeth left, said the man with a hearty laugh. Take this wheelbarrow and fill it up with my fresh corn. Make sure to add some to your soup. It always makes my soups delicious. Hasan was sweating as he pushed the heavy wheelbarrow all the way back to the masjid. Huyu is going to be so surprised, he thought, chuckling quietly to himself. After parking the wheelbarrow outside the masjid, Hasan entered and said, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Omar. Look what I brought from the farm. Hasan stopped mid-sentence and stared at the masjid's small kitchen with surprise. There were piles of food everywhere. Sheikh Omar, where did all this food come from? asked Hasan. Sheikh Omar laughed. Didn't I tell you there would be blessings in the food? He said. The baker heard we were having a feast, so he brought this mufu bread. He said we cannot have soup without it. Then the baker invited the pastry shop owner, so he brought this huge pile of sambus. Then the pastry shop owner invited the fruit vendors from the market, and they brought this mound of bananas. And then the butcher was invited by the fruit vendors, so he brought 7 plump chickens to put into the soup. By the time Sheikh Omar was finished explaining, he was almost out of breath. Chicken, exclaimed Hasan. So that's why the soup smells even better than before. His mouth watered as he shucked the corn, sliced the kernels off the cob, and put some into the bubbling soup. I'm so hungry, he thought. Before the sun set, Hasan quickly walked back to his house. His legs were starting to ache from all the walking he had done. Huyu, hurry up and get Safiya ready. We're having a feast at the masjid night after Maghrib, like I promised, called Hasan from the doorway. Hasan's mom smiled and said, Hasan, I know you wanted to give me a huge feast, but I won't be disappointed if you couldn't prepare one. I'll just eat some rice and say Alhamdulillah. Okay, whatever you say, Huyu, said Hasan with a secretive smile on his face. As they approached the masjid, Hasan and his mother saw a large crowd of people. Something smells good, said his mom. I wonder what's going on at the masjid today. You'll see, said Hasan. As they entered the masjid, they saw heaping plates of food everywhere, even more food than before. I promised to make you a feast, Huyu, said Hasan, and I had to keep my promise. Hasan's mom was stunned. But Hasan, where did all this food come from? She asked. It all started with just one Bismillah. After they prayed Maghrib, everyone sat down to enjoy the delicious meal. Don't forget to try the Bismillah soup, yelled Hasan. It's the tastiest soup in the world. As they slurped up the final drops of delicious soup, Hasan's mother turned to him and said, I am so proud of you, Hasan. You're not just a boy anymore. You are a responsible man of the house now. Hey, what about me? Asked a familiar voice from behind them. Abu, you're home! Shouted Hasan. I brought you lots of your favorite sweets. I know you will love them, said Hasan's dad. Hasan touched his full stomach and said, No sweets for me tonight. Maybe tomorrow, insha'Allah. Let's head home, said Hasan's mom. You have had a long day, Hasan, and it's past Safiya's bedtime. After they said their final goodbyes to Sheikh Omar and all the guests, they walked home together under the light of a full moon. The end. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if only you relied on Allah, a true reliance, He would provide sustenance for you just as He does the birds. They fly out in the morning empty and return in the afternoon with full stomachs. Sadaqa Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.